As you can see, we're getting close to having our design pretty refined on the foot area of the mobile traffic light, but we still want to make a few minor changes to make it look a little bit more polished. The ellipsoid just looks a little bit awkward on the transition, the hinge point isn't quite right, and we haven't finished off the hinge point on the top at this section here. So in this lesson, what we're going to do is, in terms of the design, we're going to finish those design details, and in terms of the commands in Rhino 5, we're just going to check on our split command, our scale 1D command, and our mirror command. Okay, so in order to get underway with that to begin with, we need to refine the detail on this element here and this element here. So to begin with, we're just going to isolate the problem as we did previously. So we're going to use the hide command. Then we're going to dig underneath that and reverse it so we can see that. Okay, and to begin with, we're just going to split this element here and end up with an element that's not dissimilar to the top section there. So we just double click on plan view. And before we do that, we're just going to flick back and grab that construction line. We haven't got it there, so it's easy enough to get. So we just dig under the command bar, swap hidden and visible, and we're just going to grab that curve, hide it, and then we're going to swap again. So right click on the command bar, scroll down to swap hidden and visible. Now we're going to make a cube or a box in that section there. Make sure that the midpoint is activated on your snaps control. There it is. You can see it grabs on there. And we're just roughly going to make a box, drag it up, nice and large in the area there so you can see it on the perspective view. And we're just going to drag it to the right and down. Okay, so now we can split that element there. We'll save that out shortly. So we're just going to use the split command. So on the left hand side on the standard toolbar, you can see split, left click, grab the box which we just created, and right click. You can see now that it's split that item into two halves. We're going to delete the box, and we can even save that out for the moment, but we're just going to delete the back section of that little hinge point. There we go, and we'll swap back to hidden and visible. There we go, scroll down to swap hidden and visible, and the next thing we want to bring into the mix is that leg there. We're going to ungroup, so we scroll down to the Venn diagram and ungroup the legs, so we're going to be able to isolate that ellipsoid. Shift and grab, we'll hide that, then we'll swap just as we've done before. So right click on the command bar, scroll down to swap hidden and visible, and what we want to do is just pivot that item around slightly. So in order to do that, we're just going to go transform, rotate, and we'll move in. That should be just fine. We'll unclick the ortho, scroll to the outside edge of that ellipsoid. So we're just clicking it on that line there. Click ortho back on, and then it'll snap back up into that horizontal position that we need. That's looking quite good. And we just need it a little bit larger, in my opinion. So we just need to activate the ellipsoid, and this time we're going to go transform, scale, 2D. Okay, and we're on the end of that quad line. We're just going to pull out, and you can see it's just getting slightly bigger on the surface there. Just it gives us something meatier to work with. Excellent. So now we've got a little bit more of a splayed foot in our design, and as a result of that, we need to reposition that hinge point. So we're just going to do it by eye at this stage, so we can see the center point of the ellipsoid. We're just left clicking and dragging across until it ends up in the hinge point. We're just going to undo for 1 second, redo. Okay, we're going to deactivate snaps, left click, and just drag just across to the hinge point. It's only moved a small amount, but it makes a big difference. Okay, so we're over the center point there. Now we're just going to pull out such that we're just on the outer edge there, so we can see on our perspective view that it's just slipped over the edge there. Now we're going to mirror that. So we'll just do a show. So over the hide command, right click to bring it back into position. And now we're going to use mirror. So transform, left click, scroll down to mirror and activate the snaps again. Wait till mid or quad comes on. There we go. And you can see now we've duplicated that hinge point to the center point of the ellipsoid. And we want to do a connecting strip between the two. Actually, that's looking quite good. Okay, so that part is now completed. We want to see if it's centered. That's looking excellent. So we now have our foot design finalized. Now we need to do the same at the top. Now if we have a look at the top section, it's a little bit close in and we've only got one side at this stage. So we're just going to click off snaps just so it doesn't get thrown around the place. And we're just going to manually drag it by left clicking and dragging to the center edge of the supporting ring. So that will do nicely. Have a look at the top view. In order to access that on the top view so it zooms, we can just scroll across to here. You'll see zoom selected. If we left click, it'll select just on the one viewport. If we right click, it will select on all viewports. So right click on that, you can see they all come up. Now just double check to see if that's looking all right. And just as we did before, we're now going to duplicate that item onto the opposite face. So we're going to use the mirror command. So transform, left click, scroll down to mirror. Okay, and we're going to reactivate the snaps and we're going to click on the point this time, and you can see ortho is still active in the bottom there. So we're just going to drag to the right, and now we have the hinge point at the top of the leg in position, and we can see if it looks all right. For the time being, I think that that will be suitable, and we're just going to group those two together. So left click, hold down shift and grab the other side of the hinge point, and we group that so it stays as an entity for the time being. So we scroll down the left hand side, the Venn diagram, left click, and we're ready to go. Now the last item that we need to do at this stage is it's about time that we put the center pole in place, so just so we can see some substance in that. In order to do that, we're going to duplicate the little construction line that we did at the very start of the job. And we're going to go transform, scale, 2D, and in this case we want to copy that circle out. So under that we just simply type yes, enter. Oop, we'll do that again. I mucked up, so we'll just copy, sorry, C is the command. There we go. Happens to all of us. And you can now see we've got yes on the command bar there. So now when I drag to the left, I've got a duplicate of that line just forming. That's it. Right click, and we now have two lines in place. That's fine. And now we're going to extrude that line up. So we'll switch to Con B. So right click on the layer manager. Switch the layer to Con B, we'll turn that off, and we're going to extrude that up 980 millimeters. So we're just on the front view, that's the active view. We go to solid, extrude planar curve straight. You can see we've automatically got an effect there, and we're just going to key in 980 millimeters. There's our supporting post in place. We'll just keep an eye on that and see if it's correctly placed. That looks excellent. And we'll adjust that in a subsequent lesson, but now we've got some structure that we now can see that the legs are going to be built around. Okay, so at this stage what we've done, I'll just double click on the perspective view, is we've done a number of quick refinements to fine tune the view. We've refined the placement of the hinge point for the foot and the hinge point for the back edge of the leg, and in so doing we've used the split command in order to refine that placement and break up our geometry and we've used the Scale 2D command with copy in order to create the construction line which has extruded the central post of our mobile traffic light design. Okay, see you in the next lesson.